ଦେଖିଲେ ଏବେ ଶୁଭୁଛି? ओके 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 सर से काटिदेवे देखिए तापर आउ थे करदेवे ओके ओके सर sorry there was a technical difficulty from my side. The audio was muted. Okay, so today I am talking about the sociological theories and concepts, that is MSO 001 block 1. So when I am dealing with sociological theories, I have started from block 1 that deals with the approaches of sociological theory, and the approaches of sociological theory is further subdivided into 4 units, that is emergence of sociological theory, then comes the understanding concept of theory, then comes theory and paradigm, then comes the social construction of reality. So when we are trying to give an explanation about sociological theory, we basically have to understand how these theories are made up or how these theories are constructed. So here in the emergence of sociology, I will try to make you understand about the French Revolution and sociology. Then I will talk about the shift from individualism to collectivism. Then I will talk about the Enlightenment and the emergence of sociology with reference from the classical sociological thinkers like Comte, Durkheim, and Weber. Then I will talk about how the quantitative analysis, that is basically the statistics, is being used in sociology to study the social sphere, social data or facts. Then I will talk about Spencerian theory of evolution that tries to make an analogy between sociology and the human body. In the second part, I will make you an understanding about the concepts and theories how the concepts create theory, how the concepts are developed and theories are developed. Then in the third part, I will talk about how with the progress or the evolution of theories, there is a shift. How theories, earlier theories are being challenged and new theories are taking their place. That is the theory and paradigm. There we will talk about the scientific evolution of theories from one theory criticized and new theory taking its place. That is paradigm shift. In the last part, I will talk about the construction, social construction of reality or our everyday life, how sociology try to understand them. So when I talk about the emergence of sociology, we have to understand the context under which the sociology as a science, basically social science, takes place. So when I am talking about theories, definitely that is given by someone, and that someone is known as the sociologist who tries to develop a theory under certain circumstances that refers to his or her context of life. So when I talk about context, I basically talk about two types of context, inner context and outer context. What I am trying to make you understand is all about the emergence or the historical background of sociological theory. If you will face any problem, I can teach in Korea also. However, you have to go through the books because what I am teaching are all from the books itself, nothing from outside or internet. So I will make very easy to understand yourself with the theories. So when I am talking about the sociological condition or the sociologist's context, I talk about inner context. That means inner context means something related to the person itself. That means something subjective. So what we have in our inner context? Our mind. How our mind thinks about, how it influences or how the background influences our mindset. For example, I am happy. That means I will behave with others very politely. When I get angry, I definitely don't try to behave properly or very politely with others. So this refers to my mindset. In the same manner, when the sociologists try to develop a theory, they basically talk about or they basically portray their own mindset under certain circumstances. That is their inner context. अर्थात तांकर अंतर्निहित भावधारा सेमाने व्यवहार करचंती सेमान दर्शाइचंती जे कोन हेई पारे सेमानकर भावना समाज विषय. Then comes the outer context. What is the outer context? That means inner is myself, but self is not itself motivated. Some outside forces are pampering or influencing myself. So what is that outer context? That refers to my social and physical environment. What is my social and physical environment? The society where I am living in, the society, my house where it is being built up. Because if there will be noise, definitely my behavior will be something like rude, because my mindset is disturbed with that noise from outside. In the same manner, if I am residing in a society dominated by the educationists, definitely my interest will be on education itself. I will love to teach others. So this inner context and outer context, both are complementary to each other. That means what I am thinking is all influenced by the outer context, that means my environment. So in the same manner, sociologists also try to develop theories from their own feelings, from their own life background or historical background. So here, this social context is very much important to develop a theory. So theories are the outcome of the interplay between the inner context and outer context. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହୁଛି ଯେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କୌଣସି sociologist कौनसी भी मतदान दौरान कनसेप्ट दौरान संदर्भ जो संदर्भ से गुड़ाक दवाई चेष्टा कर तो से गोटाक कौटू आसूची निश्चय तार परिवेश द्वारा प्रतिफलित तार परिवेश तार माइंड को इन्फ्लुएंस करछि जहा द्वारा परिवेश रु इन्फ्लुएंस बा मोटिवेशन पाई करी से कौन करुछि ना निजर थिंकिंग प्रोसेस को एक थियोरी हिसाब रे बा एक्सप्लेनेशन हिसाब रे दबा को चेष्टा करछि। तो ये जो कांसेप्ट थियोरी ई सब हमें नेक्स्ट यूनिट रे पढ़िबा किंतु वर्तमान हमें पढ़िबा हाउ इज दिस theory being developed.
Sir, please speak in English.
Yeah, I don't have any problem, but there will be some students who will also like to understand in Odia. Okay, the sociological theory, that means that interplay between the inner context and the outer context of the thinker. So, for example, as I have told you, because of the French Renaissance and the Enlightenment, thinking about the society that took place, and because of that, there comes the science called sociology. So, what are the background or the context for development of sociology? There are basically two things. One is the French Revolution of 1789 and the Industrial Revolution of 19th century. So, what are the types of theories? Those came from those French Revolution and Industrial Revolution effect. Those theories are socialism, enlightenment, British and quantitative analysis, and evolution. So, here is a picture. Here is a tabular presentation about the context and theories. When I talk about French Revolution, you have to think about the motivation that influenced the thinker to develop a science of theory. So French Revolution, the motivation part is law and order maintenance in France. Because of French Revolution, there were chaos in the French society. The authority, the people challenged the authority. The people challenged the church, supremacy of religion, everything. They challenged the monarchy. So these challenges created chaos in the society. So thinkers thought, how can we maintain a peace in the society? So they tried to think about maintenance of law and order in the French society. This French Revolution was the root of all sociological thinking process. Then comes the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution means the advent of capitalism, machinery, advent of steam engine, advent of technology, all those things. Because of the Industrial Revolution, industries were taking place vehemently in the society. Because of the industries, people migrate from rural to industrial areas. Because of the technology, people suffered a lot, manpower suffered a lot. Because of capitalism, there were inequality in this society. So what were the motivations behind development of Marx sociology? Migrational problem, technological changes to the society that created problem, capitalism that created imbalances among the class, that created class structure, all these things influenced Marx to develop a theory what is known as Marxism or Marx sociology. Then comes Enlightenment in the 17th century. That becomes Enlightenment that talks about or that take reference from the philosophy as well as the science. So Enlightenment is the root of development of sociology. They try to understand the social issues by taking help from philosophy and the science or natural science. They try to make an analogy or they try to understand the social problems by taking reference from natural sciences. This is known as Enlightenment Period. Here we will find the theories that took place where Comtean or Auguste Comte's theory of law of three stages, that is evolutionary theory, Durkheim's scientific study of society, that is social fact, Weberian theory of rationalism, that is Verstehen, and Spencer's theory of evolutionism, that is organic analogy. So, first start with Marxian ideology, how Marx tried to understand the society. So when I talked about French Revolution, when I talked about Industrial Revolution, there were certain problems in the society. So Marx, having experienced all these problems in his own society, tried to make understand about how he can solve these problems. So he talked about a certain type of society that will talk about the society as a whole, not the individual itself. So he starts with he started to find out why an individual is suffering, why his suffering is the base for a revolution. So he gave his analysis that capitalism was the root of inequality, because capitalism talks about two types of class structure, that is haves and haves-not. Who are the haves? Haves are the bourgeoisies, or those who have the means of production, okay, who have the forces of production, all those things. So capitalism created two antagonistic society. Those who have the means of production, or the bourgeoisie, they have the means of production like capital, industry, land, all those things. And those who were working under them, like the laborers or the workers, they create another society that is called as, they'll create another class that is known as the proletariat or the have-not. He thought that because of capitalism, this imbalance took place. There is the advent of inequality. Some will be placed at the upper level, and those who didn't have anything, they were placed at the lower level. He also opined that because of capitalism, those haves try to make profit, and for getting that profit, they exploit the workers, because they try to get profit from a surplus value. What is that surplus value? Surplus value refers to a value which is derived when we make a deduction, or when we make an abstraction from the selling price and the actual cost of production. If I am producing a pen at the cost of 2 rupees and selling it at the cost of 10 rupees, then definitely I will have the surplus value of 8 rupees. So Marx argued, because of capitalism, this thing of surplus value took place, and this surplus value tortured or suppressed the working class. So he tried to understand under which circumstances these things took place. So he defined about the material condition of society, which is the evil of all these rules. So he tried to make it understand through a historical explanation. I will talk about the historical materialism later on. So his basis of making theory was the problem created out of capitalism, or the material condition of life. So from this, he took motivation to form his theory that is known as historical materialism. Then comes Auguste Comte. You must have known that Auguste Comte is known as the founding father of sociology. Why? he has coined the term sociology. At first, he coined the term social physics, then later on make it sociology. Why he termed the concept social physics? He tried to understand the society by taking reference from natural science like philosophy, like physics. He argued that if we will apply the theories and methods of physics to understand the society, then definitely a scientific study of society will be possible. So he argued that French Revolution has created anarchy, chaos, just like Karl Marx. Hence, instead of focusing only on philosophy, he tried to think scientifically. So while he tried to think scientifically, to make a scientific understanding of the society, he talked about the theory of evolution, or what he termed as law of three stages. That means how the human society or human mind evolved throughout the history, from primitive to this modern or contemporary stage. So he talks about the law of three stages, that is theological, then second one is the metaphysical, then the scientific or the positivist stage. What is the theoretical stage? He argued earlier the society were guided by the feeling that some supernatural forces has created or influencing our way of life, or that supernatural force is called as God. That means in the theoretical stage or the earlier stage of society, people think God has created society or the world. Then comes the metaphysical. When the mind develops, some thinking process also develops, people think that no, it is not an unseen power, rather it is the nature which has influenced. They think it is raining because the rain is just like a god who is responsible. That means they make particularities. So nature plays an important role for our social life. So in the metaphysical stage, nature, people think nature has constituted our society. Then comes the positive or the modern stage or the scientific stage. People know more guided by those thinking that some unseen power or natural forces are there or nature has guided. That means they negate the role of God and nature and talks about science. This is the phase when French Revolution took place. People started questioning the existence of God. People started questioning the authority of the monarchy. So this is the phase where people not only don't like to accept anything easily. They try to make an experiment, then come to the conclusion. So this making process is the scientific stage or the modern phase that is known as positivist stage by Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte think or thought that this is the reason by which we can make a scientific understanding or scientific theory of this society. Then comes Emile Durkheim. Who is Emile Durkheim? He is the second founding father of sociology. He talks about a comparative analysis for scientific study of society. For example, for him, as there were chaos, anarchy all over society, how social order can be maintained, how we can come over the problems. Here he talks about there is a possibility of developing a science that can challenge these chaos and anarchy. So he tried to understand the facts that were found in the society, which he termed as social facts. Then what are the social facts? According to him, social facts are something which are external to us. They exercise coercion. They are very much materialistic and non-materialistic. That means social fact is something that is external to us. That means that is above our thinking. We think, that means subjective in nature. When a group thinks, that makes it a rational choice, or that is something different from my thinking, because I have to bracket my thinking and come to accept anything that is commonly acceptable by all. That is he talks about as externality. Then what is coercive? He argued, as we are living in the society, we have to follow certain rules and regulations explained or given by the society. And those rules and regulations were commonly acceptable and taken into consideration by the people. Hence, we cannot question them. So, those rules and regulations control our individual behavior to make us social. Then he talks about what are the types of social facts. Social facts has two types. One is material facts. For him, bureaucracy, law, judiciary, all those things are material facts. What is non-material facts? Non-material facts refers to social institution and culture. What is the social institutions? Family, marriage, socialization, all those things, rules, regulation, all those things. So for him, non-material social facts are the forces of binding particle of this society. We are guided by social institutions and culture. They make us socialize to behave according to the wish of the society. So he told that God is something outside there. God is what we have created. So for him, society, by worshipping God, we are worshipping the society itself. Then comes Max Weber. He talks about social process, that how a society has gone through. So he talked about various causes for the smooth functioning of the society. For him, it is the religious ideas which is very much responsible. He talked about capitalism in his book, Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism. He argued, as we are living in this society and guided by our religious belief, it was only Protestantism or Calvinism which has forced the Western society to opt for capitalism. Hence, capitalism took place in the Western society. Then comes Herbert Spencer. He is known as social Darwinist, or he tried to make an analogy, or he tries to study this society by taking reference from Darwin's theory. He argued that society is just like an organism where multiple parts are interconnected, and each part has certain role to perform for the smooth functioning of that organism. For him, size of society increases, so do the various infrastructures, institutional need, and requirements. So, according to him, society moves from simplicity to complex, and complex to complex. Then now the question arises, how theories are framed. To frame a theory, concepts are required. Let's try to understand what is concept and how theories are framed. So what is concept? How we express ourselves. We express ourselves through language. And what is language? It is a union of certain words. So words are used to make sense of our expression. What I am teaching you is, though my language is English, but you are experiencing, you are trying to understand it. So how you are trying to understand? Because which words I am using, you are also using the same words. That means the language I am talking about, you have also known about that language. And what is that language? It is a union of words. So when we try to explain the interrelation between words, we make abstraction. For example, I am saying Ram is a father. So father refers to a concept, something abstract. Because when Ram took bath, he was not the father. Then how he became father? Because after getting married, he was blessed with a baby. That baby makes sense of his relation as a father. This relation is an abstract one. So we basically make an abstraction to understand something. And that abstraction is called as concept. So the technical term in the form of abstraction is called as concepts. On the basis of societies, concepts are universal, unique, and historical. What is universal? That is acceptable by all. I will say father, that means you will also say father. Because father is a universal concept. I will say mother, you will also say mother. Then father and mother are those who gave you birth. Then comes the uniqueness. I will say I am a Brahmin. That means I am taking birth to a family of a Brahmin. So it is unique. By taking birth to a family, I am a Brahmin. Then comes historical. Historical means I say unity in diversity is the unique feature of our Indian society. Why unique? Because if we look at the history, then we will definitely find that throughout history, we are living with each other. We are cooperating with each other irrespective of our language, religion, place of birth, everything. Then comes concepts are either explanatory. That means how concepts are used. Explanatory. That means it describes something. Interpretative. Interpretative means I try to make sense from a given data. It is interpretative. Father. Father means I interpret that fellow is a married one. Then comes commentary. I say he has a good family. This saying is called as commentary because all the members of that family are living very bindly or united. That is called as commentary. Good refers to an adjective, and that good is called as commentary. Thus, we have consensual meaning. That means we describe through an agreed meaning of words. What I am saying, you are also accepting. This is called as consensual meaning. Then comes the theory. How theory is framed. Interpretation and interaction of concepts lead to theory. Interpretation and interaction. For example, I will say the theory of family. So when I talk about a theory of a family, definitely I will try to interpret and explain that what is a family itself. It is a combination of married couple, their children. Either they are married or unmarried. If they are married, they are children or without children. All those living in a certain roof or certain home. This constitutes a family. So family is interpreted like this. And theory of a family tries to explain the characteristics of family, what are the benefits of family, what are the negative aspects of family, all those things. So when we talk about theory, we basically talk about cultural factors, structural factors, human action, system, subsystem, function, dysfunction, and non-function. All these technical terms will be dealt throughout this MSO 001. So let's understand about the characteristics of theories. Theory is an explanation of recurring events, and it is a valid explanation universally accepted. That's why I told you theory is universal. Then comes the condition under which theory is developed. Then comes it is a modified one. When a new theory takes place, the old theory was replaced. So what are the concepts? How do we create sociological theory? As I have told you, sociology is the study of a scientific study of society. So definitely, sociological theory talked about two types of method to make sense or to make analytical explanation about any concept. That is deductive method and inductive method. Deductive method and inductive method were derived from philosophy. As I have told you, we took philosophy and science to make scientific interpretation about society. So what is deductive method? When an inquiry is conducted or a problem is solved on the basis of existing knowledge, that means we have some knowledge. Out of that knowledge, we try to frame a concept. Then what is inductive? When facts are there, we move from facts to a particular explanation. That means father is everywhere. We try to make explanation about the concept. That is inductive method. So whether it is inductive or deductive, both constitute or both are the root for framing a theory. So what are the theories that we will find in society? We will find the theories by Durkheim, Max Weber that I have already talked about. Then Karl Marx is that I have also talked about. Parsons and Emergence. When I talk about system, subsystem, all these are the theories given by Parsons. What is Akhenaton's theory? He talks about functionality. We will deal with all their theories in the next block. So now the concept arises, what is a paradigm? How theories are challenged. This concept paradigm is given by a thinker named Thomas Kuhn in his book, The Structure of Scientific Revolution. He argued society progressed through three stages. One is pre-scientific stage, one is normal scientific stage, and the paradigm shift. He took this reference from Auguste Comte's law of three stages. So what is paradigm for him? It refers to the dominance of a particular set of theories at a particular time. That means in pre-scientific stage, theories are incomplete. They try to make valid by taking reference from other theories. So a very few theories were dominant, and those dominant theories were representing the paradigm of that particular stage. Then comes the normal science. That means people started thinking about everything on the basis of observation, experimentation. Then comes the paradigm shift. The shift from pre-scientific to scientific is called as paradigm shift, because when science developed, people not only questioned the existence of God or philosophy, they also tried to modify themselves. So they challenged any previous theory of society and tried to develop a more modern lucid theory. So there is a shift from one paradigm to another paradigm. But basically, when we talk about paradigm, we talk about the scientific thinking. So what are the components of that paradigm shift? So when we talk about components, we talk about use of language, development of new concepts, words, and meanings. Then comes the aspects of paradigm. Global paradigm, that means if there is some concept or word, that means we will find throughout the world. That is global paradigm. What is the other one? The other theories and practice that bolster the existence of global paradigm. That means those question the idea of that particular word. They question. They try to make confrontation, they try to counteract, they try to counter question the existence of the previous meaning of that concept. So these are the two aspects of paradigm shift. So we have classical sociological theories. Out of these theories, when we talk about paradigm shift, we can divide the theories on the basis of classical sociological theories. In classical sociological theory, we establish an independent, we try to establish an sociology as an independent science. That means we try to understand society by taking reference from science. Then comes the contemporary theory that carry forward the scientific thinking process and challenges the previous problems found in previous theories and the recent trends, or those who talked about subjectivity and objectivity. They become more philosophical and scientific. So how this social construction of reality occur? How we think that what we are reading in sociology are socially constructed, because we try to understand sociology scientifically. So to understand that social reality and construction, Peter Berger and Thomas Lockman give a particular theory. So first try to understand what is a social reality. Reality refers to a member of society live by certain beliefs and principles, and societies develop different ways of looking at this. For example, for my society, love marriage is not easily acceptable. But in the Western society, love marriage is a normal phenomenon. This is the reality. Endogamy, caste endogamy, gotra exogamy, these are very peculiar to my society. These are my belief system, my principle. But in Western society, they don't have like that. They can marry with anyone. If they fall in love, they can continue without getting married. They can live in. All these things are the social realities of that particular society. What is construction? It is not a monolithic process. That means what we are experiencing in the society are not monolithic. There are various meanings coming, and what are those meanings? Those meanings come from our history, from our Vedas, from our thinkers, all those things. And they have a particular existence. They have explained, they have methods, they have categories. So these are social realities, and those are constructed by the layers of meaning, layers of existence, methods, and categories. So now, when we talk about social construction of reality, we have to focus on we have to focus on Peter Berger and Thomas Lockman. What they are saying, Peter Berger and Thomas Lockman, they came to the prominence with the publication of their book, The Social Construction of Reality, in the year 1966. They tried to develop an approach by which we can understand the social reality objectively, because their prime aim is to study subjective things objectively or scientifically. For that purpose, they try to understand the subjective realities with reference to objective realities. How I am thinking, why I am thinking like that? Because I am living in a particular society, as I am taking birth to that particular society, I have to bracket my thinking. If I can bracket my thinking, then I will be a social animal. If I won't bracket those, then definitely people don't treat me as a member of that society. So Berger and Thomas Lockman, they try to make this analysis by saying that subjectivity is typified in a large social reality. Typification means bracketing. If I will say that girl is a very poor in education, that is my subjective experience. But I have to accept what others are thinking about that girl. If others are saying that, okay, her education is not so good, but she is a very polite fellow, that means I have to accept that though her education is not good, but she is polite. So I have to bracket that for me, education education should not be the parameter for politeness. So Peter Berger and Thomas Luckman argued that this thinking process is called as objectivity. That is something external to us. We have to follow them, and objectivity comes through social consciousness. We and you, as conscious member of this society, make sense of the society. For them, what we have found in society in the form of concepts are already given to us, and those are given not by a single person, but by a group of persons. So all these are all about the first block, that is approaches to the sociological theory. If you have any question, you can ask me. Do you have any question?
Sir, can you please say about inductive and deductive method?
Okay, inductive and deductive method. So what are the induction and deduction? You simply talk me about induction. That means include. Okay? Something is there. For example, he is talking, I am rich. You are talking, he is rich. Someone is talking, Ram is rich. So rich is a fact. How we explain that concept? We explain rich by looking at his way of life, how he is dressing himself, how he is taking food, how is his house. All these explanations come from the concept or the very knowledge or the fact that is given or attached to the concept rich. So this explanation is called as inductive approach. What is deduction? I will say this is a big house. He has a very good way of having dinner, lunch, or breakfast. He is having a bike. He is having a car. He is having so many accounts in banks. All these formulate the concept that is called as rich. That is called as vanity. So when we come from explanation to a particular conclusion, that is deduction. When we come from a particular fact to an explanation, that is when we come from explanation to a conclusion, that is deduction. When we come from a particular fact to an explanation, that is called as inductive method. You will find this in philosophy. And as I have told you, sociology takes this to make a scientific analysis of the society. So we take into account philosophy as the base of our scientific analysis. Sometimes we come from a past to a particular, sometimes we come from a particular to a past to explain a relation. So we make use of deductive method and inductive method. Methods are also known as approaches. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So the time is already 7. Your next class will begin. So I will see you tomorrow with block 2. Thank you for watching. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir. शुक्रवार रात्री 8 ରୁ ମଙ୍ଗଳବାର ସକାଳ 7ଟା ଯାଏ ଲକଡାଉନ। କୋଉଠି? କୋଉ ଜିଲ୍ଲା ରୁମ୍ ରେ?